Here's where we're going to today. I am going to give you a true statement, a true fact, right? A true fact. Based on that true fact, here's what I would like you to do. All right, so here are the steps I want you to follow today. Step number 1, based on that true fact, I'd like you to mark your diagrams with proper markings. All right, so mark the diagram. And what do I mean by mark the diagram? Think about everything we put on our diagrams in Unit 1. Hash marks, arc marks, right angle symbols. All right, I want all that stuff on there if it applies. Second step, you're going to make a true statement based on what's given. You are. Because you told me this is true about my diagram. Okay? Because you gave me this piece of information, this is what's true about the diagram. And then finally, step 3, write why the statement's true. Okay, so there is a lot of writing in this unit, but I'm prepping you. And I don't know if you've had friends, siblings, relatives that have taken geometry before, but a big part of geometry are proofs. And this is where we start them in this unit. Okay, and this is where we start the proofs in this unit. All right, you ready to jump into it? Okay, here we go. First one, everyone see the given information I'm providing you. That is true about the diagram. We are in a very tough spot if we don't know what that symbol is right now. We are in a very tough spot. All right, we are not starting off on the right foot. So I don't want to call on anybody, embarrass anybody right away here. Anybody remember what that symbol was, Sloan? Perpendicular. Good job. Good work. Now, that's great. You're still in a tough spot if you don't know what that word means. Okay? That's where we got to be right now. All right? I'm going to get fired up now and not tomorrow when I go over the homework. All right? If we don't know what perpendicular means and what symbol I can put on my diagram, then we're in a tough spot. All right? Perpendicular from Unit 1. AB and BC are perpendicular to each other. Again, I don't want to call on anybody again, but hopefully my message is getting across very clearly. Anybody remember what perpendicular meant? Perpendicular equals cadence. 90-degree angle. 90-degree angle. Right angle, right angle, right angle. When you hear the word perpendicular. Yeah, it's all fun and games. People can laugh at me right now, but if you don't know that vocab word, you might as well go on to number 2 right now. So what can I put on my diagram where AB and BC meet? The right angle. All right, so there we go. Step 1, mark the diagram. Because you know that symbol, and that symbol means right angle, I can put a right angle there confidently. That's your first step, mark the diagram. There's nothing else. Don't put hash marks on there because you assume that they're nope, that's it. So we mark the diagram. Step 2, make a true statement. Your true statement comes from whatever you just marked. All right, what did we just mark here? Angle, you now know angle B is a what? Right angle. There's your statement. There's your true statement. But, whoa, we're going to organize this. I just don't want you to write anywhere that angle B is a right angle. So to organize all our thoughts, we're going to put our thoughts into 2 columns. A statements column, and then we're going to have a reasons column. In the statements column is going to go anything that's true. Anything you know is definitely true. And in the reasons column is the why. Why is it true? All right, so everyone we do here, going forward, everyone we do, our first statement is always going to be what's given, because we know that's true. All right, so whatever was given, AB perpendicular to BC. And I'm not trying to trick you here. How do we know that was true? Because I gave it to you. It's given. Yep. And I don't give any credit, partial credit, for just writing down the given. Sorry. All right, so that's our first statement and reason in every one of these we do here going forward. All right, now it's your turn. What else is true about the diagram? And we already put it down. What do we put at angle B? We now know angle B is a right angle. Yep. And you're going to start seeing me use some shorthand. Whatever shorthand abbreviations I use up here in class, you are allowed to use as well. Please don't do your own. All right, now here's going to be the tough part for some of you. How did you know that was a right angle? Why did I put a right angle at B? And please don't write in because Cadence told us to do so. She answered the question. That's not my response here. Let's be honest. What do you got? Why, Taylor? In your own words, and I'll fix it.
Because A, B, and B, C are perpendicular.
What was the key vocabulary word? All right, everybody, yeah? Because I heard the word perpendicular, that's how I knew angle B had to be a right angle. So here's what I want you to write down. Perpendicular, notice I'm using the symbol because I don't want to write the darn word. Perpendicular lines form what? Warren?
Right angles.
Right angles. Perpendicular lines form right angles. So we marked the diagram, and then we had something true about it. Question so far, because I'm going to write one more true statement about this diagram. Anything on what we just wrote? All right. I'll help you a lot with this last one here. What type of triangle is ABC? The triangle. What type of triangle? What did we just put in it? What did we just put in it? Go ahead, Evan.
A right angle, so it's a right triangle.
It's a right triangle, right? It's a right triangle. So we can say triangle ABC is a right triangle. And I'm putting that in because I know down the line in the future you're going to need that fact. All right, in your own words, how do we know it's a right triangle? Now I'm going to start calling out people. How do we know it's a right triangle? Don't take it too far here. How do I know that bad boy's a right triangle? Choom, here we go. How do I know, Noah? Right triangles have right angles. You'll notice a lot of abbreviations going on now. Questions? One doesn't make us great. You usually feel uncomfortable. That's fine. But can we all be in agreement? You're cooked. You don't know what that is. You are. Right? Agreement. If you don't know what the word, if that symbol means, and you don't know what the darn word perpendicular means, we are done. Any questions? All right, new one coming up. New vocabulary term in there. Oh. Okay, BD is the bisector of ABC. Could you mark your diagram with correct markings here? Let's see. Go ahead if you'd like. If not, okay, we'll get there hopefully. You should be able to mark your diagram with the correct set of markings because you know BD is the bisector and you know what bisector means. Anybody want to share what they're putting on their diagram because you know what bisector means? Woo, baby, yeah. What's up, Ariel? Arc marks. Okay, can you name the two angles you put arc marks on? Remember, name it with 3 letters.
Angle A, B, D, and angle C.
Good job. Yep. Hey. Vocabulary. Bisector. Cut something into 2 equal parts. Good job. All right, and we cannot put anything else. So here we go. Organize our thoughts now. Statements. Reasons. You can always have one true statement, right, which is your givens. So always write that as your first true statement because you definitely know that's true. Because that was given. And this is why I have you mark your diagram, because that can be your second statement, is what you marked in your diagram, but in words now. All right, what did we just mark on the diagram with those arc marks? What is that telling us, those arc marks? Cadence, over to you.
They're two.
Okay, name them again for me. So ready? Angle. A, which would you say? ABD. Now we don't say equal anymore. What do we use instead? Congruent. So ABD is congruent to which other angle? Keep going. CBD. Good work. Why? What told us to put those darn arc marks there? There's a reason, not because we felt like it, not because it looked like it. There was something up there that said those two angles are going to be congruent. Something up there, other than it just looked like it. Okay, why? As me, what do you think? Bisector. All right, so what I'm going to put is definition. I'm going to abbreviate it DEF. Definition of a bisector. And you're allowed to write that, okay? Because you know what a bisector is. Cuts it into two congruent angles. I want one more statement. And again, I'm pushing for this one more statement because I know you're going to use it in the future. And I want you to, I'll start it, you fill in the blank. How's that for a deal? I'll start it, you fill in the blank. Let's take one of those congruent angles right now. I'm going to say ABD. I could also do this for CBD. Ready? I'm going to say ABD is equal to blank angle ABC. They're not equal to each other, obviously, but I want you to correct that for me. Okay? Angle ABD, I'll make that bigger for everybody. Angle ABD is blank angle ABC. I want to see if anybody can fill in what I'm missing. Because they're not equal to each other. They don't have the same measure. That's redundant. How do they compare? What do I need to fill in here? ABD is blank, and that's a bisector. Try it out. Try it out, Sam.
1/2.
1/2. Darn right. Yep. Because remember, a bisector cuts an angle in half. Yep. And again, we could also replace ABD with the other one, DBC. How do you know it's half? What word up there told you it was half? Definition of a bisector. All right. So we're writing down as much as we can here. Questions? All right, again, tough problem if we don't know what bisector means. Along with this next one. Anything missing on this one? Let's talk about that. So what's missing, Sloan? Oh, yeah, so sorry. I didn't do that. Can you do it, though? I think you guys are more than capable, right? It's not a misprint either. I wanted you to do the diagram and mark it, too. All right, M is the midpoint of AB. And mark it with the correct markings, because that's what I want you to do first. Mark your diagram. Again, vocab term, midpoint. It's a tough problem if you don't know what a midpoint is. All right, talk to me. Oh boy, I'm playing with fire here. I'm playing with fire. Jack, any markings you're putting on your diagram?
Hash lines.
Where?
A and M and M and B.
Good job. We should have hash marks there. All right, here we go. Let's go to your statements now. Let's write down what's true about the diagram. And most of the time, it's going to be the markings you put on. All right, first statement we know already is true. M is the midpoint of AB. I'm going to start abbreviating midpoint, MIDPT. Again, anything I do up here is fair game for you guys. Use it, but you start doing your own hieroglyphics. You're playing with fire there. All right, so. And that's true because it's given. And now let's start getting in the habit. Step 2 is usually what you just marked on your diagram, but in symbols. Okay, but in symbols. All right, what did we just mark on the diagram so I can write it in? Choo-choo, where am I going there? Cadence, what did we just go in the, what did we just mark on the diagram?
Line A, B, or AM is equal to line, or is congruent.
Darn right, you watched your mouth there. Good. Is congruent too?
Line MB.
Good. All right, similar to the last problem. How did we know to put the hash marks on there? How did we know they were congruent? What in the problem told us? Leo?
Midpoint.
Definition of midpoint. You guys are picking it up now. Here we go. Yep. But we can't do the problem unless we know what a midpoint is. All right, I want one more statement out of you. One more. Use the previous problem as a reference. AM, AB, how do they compare? They're not equal. They're not equal. Connor, how do they compare?
AM is half AB.
There you go. And again, could I have easily just done MB instead of AM? Yep. And then how did Connor know that? Because he saw the word midpoint. Vocab matters. Any questions, comments, concerns yet? You identify the key vocab term and that gets you where you need to go. All right, what are we looking at here? We got 2 more. Ha. All right, here we go. Actually, last one, huh? Oh, nice. We're done already. Not much there. I don't see a key vocab term like perpendicular, bisects, and midpoint. But I do have two lines there intersecting each other. So you can't rely on any vocab, but you can rely on the diagram here. I'm interested to see what markings you're putting on. I want you to mark your diagram first. See how well you guys know your vocab and your facts from last unit. Because there are markings you can put on this. Hey, real quick, because this always happens. Does anybody see the word midpoint up there? Me neither. Anybody see the word bisects? Me neither. So don't be putting hash marks on this thing. If you don't see it, don't assume it. Don't start creating the word out of thin air. If you don't see it, it's not there. Okay, nothing's being cut in half. Nothing's being cut into 2 congruent segments. Sorry. Anybody putting any markings on their diagram? And you're confident about it. Markings. From last unit, you should put these markings on. You can do it. What do you got, Evelyn?
I did on angle WSE.
Oh, hold on. Which one?
Angle WSE and ISR.
Woo! What'd you put there?
I put arc mark.
Oh, whoa! Arc marks. Those say they're congruent. You better have a backup plan, I hope, there. Because that is true. And what I mean by a backup plan is to back yourself up. You want to tell your classmates why you know they're congruent? Because they're what type?
Intersect.
You had it. You're almost there. They're opposite angles formed by 2 intersecting lines. We have a name for them. What do you got, Adrian? They're vertical angles. Vertical angles are always congruent. And I believe there's another set of vertical angles up here too, isn't there? The other pair of opposites. Yep. So instead of marking those with 1 pair of arc marks, we can mark it with 2 pair. Yeah. It's where we got to be. Vertical angles. Statements, reasons. Okay, given WR intersects IE. Good news. I can put both pair of congruent angles in the same step because they're congruent for the same reason. I don't need a separate step for one pair and a separate step for another because they're congruent for the same reason. So name the first pair that are congruent up here so I can write it down. Noah, first pair that are congruent, angle. WSI congruent to angle ESR. Good. And then in the same step, same statement number 2, we can write the other pair because they're going to be congruent for the same reason. So name the other pair that were congruent. Choo-choo. Where am I going with this one? I'll get to you in a sec. Cadence, back to you.
Angle WSE is congruent to angle ISR.
Good job. And going back, how did we know they were congruent? And then I have something different to write there. Let's go, Warren. How did we know they were congruent?
They were intersecting.
That's not what we call them. They're opposite angles. Vertical. They're vertical. Everyone agree? Okay, but I'm not going to write definition of vertical. If you remember from Unit 1 and you go back in your packet, we wrote down under vertical angles a theorem about them. And that's what's going to go in here. If they're vertical, what do you know about them? They have to be. What do we write? If they're vertical, they are congruent. So we're going to write vertical angles are congruent. We're going to write the fact about them. You're not going to say definition. Oh yeah, I got one more. I want one more fact about this diagram and see if anybody can come up with it. We got the vertical angles out of the way. Anybody know anything else about any of the other angles? Leo, what's your deal? Just give me one pair. Or anything you're going to say. Go ahead.
WSI.
Okay, hold it. WSI. And nobody has to do this. I'm just going to mark a 1 there so I know what the heck he's talking about. WSI, yep, go.
Plus ISR equals 180.
Everyone agree those angles I marked 1 and 2 are, okay, they equal 180. You got a big boy word for that instead? Because I want to write that. Supplementary. Good. So I'm not going to write, because we could be up here for days writing these two are supplementary. Let's just take the ones Leo gave us. All right. So angle WSI and angle ISR. And I don't want to say add to equal 180. Use the vocab word. What is it again, Leo? Are supplementary. And you can abbreviate that SUPP if you'd like. That's fine. All right, I'm looking for something specific here to tell me why they're supplementary. I know they form a line. They're adjacent. I'm looking for, this was also a theorem that we wrote down. What did we call 2 adjacent angles? There was a term. I'm going to pull it out of you right now. There was a term, 2 adjacent angles that form a line. Warren?
Straight angles.
Well, straight angles equal 180, but what about what do we call the angles that make that straight angle? Linear pairs. Everyone remember those. So anytime you tell me angles are supplementary, here's your reason. Linear pairs are supplementary. And if you go back and look at your Unit 1 packet, these are the only 2 theorems that we wrote down, and that's what I want in the reasons column. Okay, here's the deal with your homework. I'm making it nice and easy for you. You can flip it over for me. Every problem, I'm telling you how many additional statements I want written, including the given. All right, the givens don't count. So for number 1, does everyone see 1 additional statement in conclusion? That doesn't mean the given. After the given, write 1 more that you know is true. All right, number 2, I want 3 more that are true about that diagram, other than the given. All good? Okay, start going. You can work with people around you if you'd like. Call me over. There is no answer key because I don't want you to just copy. Right? I want to see your thoughts written down and what you think the reasons are. Please use previous problems from today's notes. Go ahead, work with others around you, talk it up. You don't need to whisper. Yep,
I really
sure.